You want answers?
What's that going to set up?
We've got to go to work.
It's the Strat Attack Show. But we're always wondering what the next two is.
Holy shnikes at work.
That's something I want to know about.
What's your name, scumbag?
Strat Attack Show.
We're on a mission from God.
Here's Rob Smith. Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith of Smith in the Black. If it's Tuesday, we hop into the urban assault vehicle and see what's going on. We're going to try and get back to full schedule after the holidays. You know, we've been doing 2 power hours a week for the last couple months to get everybody up to speed. We're going to continue to do that up into the holidays. And so let's take a look at what we got going on here. Okay, so, forgot we got the different screen. Still working on my tech issues, but there we go. So, SPY monthly. Right, so what's going on here? So we're coming into the end of the year, right? So that's exhaustion of the year, exhaustion of the quarter, and we got stuck in this broadening formation on the monthly, right? We had a nice little rally back here, the 2-2 month. Now a potential 3 months to the downside, right? Not saying that's going to happen, but we always want to be aware of what could happen. If we go to the weekly here, we went 2 up, 2 down on the week. And you can see these 4 weeks are still kind of stuck in here. But here's that big weekly broadening formation. How do we get out of here? We're stuck in the middle chopping around. And if we go to the daily, you can see these 4 days became an outside bar of all this stuff. Right? So the question is, you stop all these guys out, they're gone. Are we going to be able to be weak enough to take that, gap fill, and get pounded? And how do we close out the year? You know, what are we looking at? You know, we're always asking what the next 2 is. And at this point, we're a 2 down on the week. And we're a potential 3 on the month. Right? And there's a whole lot of days and months and stuff like that. We got, J Powell coming back out next week. We'll see what kind of rate hike we get there. But one of the things we've been watching about is I talk about event continuity. So here's when Powell's minutes of his speech came out. And I was like, you want to watch that level, right? Because they were blasting off like, oh, it's great, he's dovish, whatever, more dovish. But then we come down and take it out, right? So the opening of that, 394.80, we're below that. So we want to know that level because that's when people thought he was going a little dovish or less hawkish. And so below that, we got a problem, but we do have a new level coming out when he speaks again. So officially. So if we go to the Qs, in the Qs, monthly, could be potential 3, right? Slight higher high. If we go to the weekly, here, still inside week. So that would be a 3-2 down. If we can take this out, that would cause some more problems. If we go to the Dow Jones Diamonds, here in diamonds, we knew about this broadening formation the whole way up, and they were leading the charge, and now backing off with a 2 down on the week. Here, once we take this 2 up, 2 down, below 336.18, it popped back up. So we'll see how that goes. If we go to the small cappers, and the small cappers taking the 3-2 down on the week. On the month, still an inside month. And you can see all this sideways kind of stuff in here. But they tried to make the rally here. And that's what you always want to look for, is an attempt to rally or an attempt to sell off and then fail. So range, attempt, range. So we'll see if we can get these things going back to the downside. And so, not going to waste too much time here. But what we do always want to look for, as we come into a Tuesday, is how many things are taking out last week's highs and last week's lows. So if we go here, what do we got on last week's highs? Here. Nobody except for EXC, and that's in the utilities. We've got Delta, so the airlines, how far they're going to go, that's another story. United, and they're also inside days here, a lot of them, so not total leadership going on there, but that's what we're seeing. So if we go to last week's lows, okay, now what you're seeing here, Bank of America, Amazon, AMD, Snappy, Palantir, Wells Fargo, so we know the banks have been a bit weak. Exxon, so the energies are giving it up a little bit. So you're seeing a lot more JP Morgan, Financial, CSX, PayPal. You're seeing a much higher concentration to the downside. So we'd prefer that to continue because we know, XLE let us go to the weekly all year because of the yearlies, and we're coming into the macro stuff end of the year. But now XLE goes inside week and down, right? And it's not the end of the world because on the monthly, here, we could expect that because it's called exhaustion risk. Here's that outside month, the poke down, the sideways range, the take out the highs, now bigger broadening formation. But, the XLE, we can be looking at profit taking here over the course of the week, so long as it's below 87.28. You got an inventory number coming out in the morning. We'll see how all that goes. But like I said, when you go to the scans, you can see most things on a weekly basis are 2 down. And here's FAS getting closer to being a 3 on the month to the downside. Weekly, 3-2. So when most things are weekly to the downside, the good thing is we have 3 days. We have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to go after this stuff. Now, doesn't mean we can't go higher high, lower low, chop them back up, right? We could. But if that doesn't happen, hopefully, so you can see here on the daily FAS, here at the higher highs, the lower lows. So there's your daily broadening formation. Now we're going to be weak enough to go blasting through here. Down into here. That's what we want to know, right? Or you're going to be strong enough to go inside day tomorrow or go 2-2 reversal back up. We got the Fed coming next week, all that kind of stuff. So, but at this point, we do have most things 2 down on the week. And let's go back to some of that stuff. I said XLE, that's a problem. PayPal, Lyft, JP Morgan, Disney, that's in the Dow. All right. Iger will save us none time soon. U.S. banks, so we know the banks, and we're talking about KRE this week too. If you go to the regional banks, here, KRE got destroyed yesterday. And if we go to the weekly, here, that's a 3-2 down, right? If we go to the monthly, here, sideways forever, but once again, you see this spike up, right? That's always a problem because you've got this sideways range. They attempted the upside, and oftentimes when that happens, there's the top of the broadening formation. They go take everybody out to the downside. Either it holds or it doesn't, but that would give you the broadening formation because a lot of people always ask me, how do you draw it? How do you identify it? And say that, well, we have a higher high. We just don't have a lower low yet, right? So, but as long as this thing, KRE, is below here, that 2-2 reversal, we can look for some more problems for the regional banks below 60, 96. And it might happen real fast. It might be JPOW coming out with 75 or whatever it's going to be. But you want to be aware of that. One of the biggest problems people have is not using all the time frames to know what the bigger picture looks like, right? And not understanding how the broadening formation phenomenon works. But you can see here, even this here, slight higher high there. Now slight lower low here. Now looking to take these guys out. Then it's a matter of whether you're weak enough to take these guys out. So still, when you go to the scan, you're going to see so much. Devon Energy, Nordstrom's, eBay, Oracle, right? All these, Walmart. All these guys are 2-2 reversals, if not, with 3 on the week. This is a problem. Western Digi, that's going after a month, right? EQT, that's Natty. Target, and you can see how robust this list is compared to who's taking out last week's high. So we take it day by day and say, okay, if that's going to change, right? First of all, any major change, SPY would have to go green on the month, and you're nowhere near doing that, right? On the week, nowhere near going green on the week. So if you're going to start to do that tomorrow, you'd either have to gap down or poke down and start to go 3 back up, or go inside day, or really start blasting here and go 2-2 reversal. But we're nowhere near doing that. So just like today and the 60s and all that kind of stuff, when things were just rolling downhill, we prefer the trend, whatever it is. I don't care if it's up or down, but we prefer that. Had some short covering at the end of the day, the 2 down, 2 up on the 60. These 2 be coming outside bar of that. So even if we start to fail in the morning, good chance of an inside 60 to start the day, right? And so, hear me talk about let them open all the time. Yesterday, inside 60 after 2 hours to start off the day. Boom, that got everything rolling. Today, they opened, they go 3, and yeah, this was the biggest move, right? But you don't have to worry about catching that move because what that did is set things in motion. Then it was down, 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 down. Now we had a more higher concentration of 2s down on the day, and as it continued lower, more things started to take out weekly lows from last week, and that's what we're looking for. Simultaneous break, right? All that kind of stuff, and then always being aware at the end of the day, position squaring, maybe they cover, what are they going to do here, and go to 30. Here, there it was, they tricked them here, and then boom. Do they come back through here? But for the most part, at this point, we prefer the downside. Just because of all the 2s on the week. Otherwise, we can get messed up. But we're also coming into the end of the year, so we want to see how people are positioned coming into the end of the year. We'll get to the macro vid and all that kind of stuff. But always knowing how many things are 2ing in what direction is very important. It tells us, the simultaneous break. It tells us higher probability, and all day, just walking down, walking down, walking down. And people being like, I think this is a level. I think this is a level. I'm like, walk them down. Inside 15, keep puking. Triangle they out, right? 2 up, boom. Back to the lows with you, right? And that's what we look for when I say triangle they out. When you have a strong trend like this, eventually there will be a higher high in the 15. There it is, right? Higher high, boom. When it took that out, we're going to take that out for sure. So we prefer those bars to be bigger so you have more magnitude. Kind of like ENPH today was in the room. And here, have confidence in things playing out. And what I mean by that is that on the daily, this is a 3-2-2. Outside bar, 2 up, 2 down. These 2 are going to become an outside bar of that. Right, and so it's not always easy to hold on to that. But when you go down to the 15er, it's beautiful here. Triangle layout, rev strat, bam, right there. But when you have this chop here that hasn't hit the magnitude yet, over time you get more confidence that that's going to complete the 3-2-2 here and take this out because you had solars all week. During the day, and so yeah, there's going to be a chop shop. So depending on where you got in, if you didn't get in until down in here, I understand you're getting a little nervous. Or in this stuff, if you got in here, you can let this stuff play out because we know it's more often than not going to play out. 3-2-2, fun to say and fun to do. So as we come into the end of the year, end of the quarter, still early in the month. We want to see how, you always hear me talk about how things close out. The end of the day, how close are we to the next 2? End of the week, how close are we to the next 2? All that kind of stuff, as well as how many 2s do we have in either direction. At this point, we got a lot more 2s to the downside, so we would prefer more downside, folks. All right, that's going to do it for today. I'm Rob Smith, Smith in the Black. And if it's Tuesday, hit him with the Strat attack.
You've been listening to the Strat Attack Show.
It's over!
That looks like I'm running out of time again.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
And now for something completely different.
Yeah. Did you get that memo?
Let's go to Billy Baroo.
Oh, Billy.
Here's where they're buying.
Oh, behave.
Here's where they're selling.
Oh, righty.
I'd keep an eye on this. Is that a problem? It is.
You just don't turn it off!
I'm Rob Smith.
I hate Illinois Nazis.
I'm Smith in the Black with the Strat Attack.